looks like my nose is having a wedding. Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Carl. It's Christmas Eve and I'm here with one of my support workers, Ella. And I thought, because it's Christmas Eve, I'll celebrate by having a beer. And I got one from my brother-in-law, Aaron. And I'm trying to work out if it's cultural misappropriation or not. Because it's made in Australia. It's meant to be a Japanese rice lager. And it's got some stereotypical karaoke anime type character. And I'm just wondering if it's culturally appropriate or not. Do you have any thoughts?
Not really, I'm sorry.
No thoughts?
No thoughts.
Anyway.
I agree with you. I see your train of thought.
If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments.
We're just cracking open a cold one with the boys. Cracking open a cold one with the boys. So I asked my friends if they had any questions for Carl. They're big fans of his YouTube account. They have liked and subscribed. Only fans will decide. I don't have one. I'm not shamelessly plugging my non-existent OnlyFans account.
Only the fans, not only.
Only the fans. Big fans of his YouTube account. They have liked and subscribed.
Yeah.
So that's where we're getting these questions from. So shout out to my friends.
I feel famous.
Yeah, they're massive fans. They like.
I haven't met them, but I already think that they're great.
So Shristi asks, what does your daily work day routine look like?
So at the moment, because of the whole coronavirus thing, I'm working a split between working from home and at the office. So 2 days at home and 2 days at the office. And because I'm lazy, I start late. No, but really it's because I probably take a bit longer to get up than other people because I have to, get hoisted and get in the shower chair and all that stuff, which takes a bit longer. So often people with disability can take a bit longer to get ready than others. So I negotiated with work to make my start time, 9:30 rather than 9. So I work until about 5:30. And yeah, and it's good. So lots of, phone calls and emails, lots of coffee breaks.
So Laura asks, is riding in an electric chair fun?
So an electric wheelchair?
Yeah.
I'm assuming, not like a electric chair murderous device.
Yeah.
I think, the answer probably is no. It's not fun. But it's not fun. It's just something that is very boring and normal and...
Yeah, it's normal for you.
Yeah, it's something that, it's not really a novelty because I've been doing it for...
You don't really know anything different.
26 years. Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes it can be fun. And it's useful. But I suppose if I ask someone, is walking fun? They'll probably be like, no. It's just something automatic that you do. Yeah. So, boring answer, but it's not really that fun. Sorry, Laura.
Sorry to disappoint.
True.
Laura also asked, what's the favourite part of your day? So what's your favourite part of your day?
Favourite part of my day? Probably having a coffee. That's like a common one. Yeah, I normally have 2 coffees a day. It's kind of an addiction, which I'm not sure you should be proud of your addictions, but I think that's a relatively healthy addiction to have. And yeah, it's also one of those things that if it tastes bad, it has the potential to ruin your entire day. So it's a high stakes
It's a bit of a
event.
gamble.
Yeah.
You need to be really specific on like the times that you have it as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
It has to be calculated.
And I don't know if you know if you're addicted to caffeine. I know that I am. But if you don't actually have caffeine by a certain point in the day, you kind of go into withdrawal and you get really sleepy and really grumpy, and it's not good. And so if I'm ever grumpy or sleepy, I have to ask myself, have I had my second or first coffee yet? And if the answer is no, then that's probably the reason why I'm grumpy.
So Laura also asked, who is your favourite One Direction member?
I'm too old to really know that much about One Direction. I think they were cool when I was at school, but I was probably a bit too old for that. I know that there's Harry, and then there's Zayn,
Yeah.
and then there's other ones as well. No, there's someone called Liam. And then there's someone. Yeah, no, it's coming back to me now. Then there's someone called Niall. And Louis. No, Louis.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, so as you can tell, I don't know very much about One Direction, but apparently, from what I know, Zayn is the only one who can sing properly.
Is he?
And the rest are not meant to be that good at singing. So he probably gets my vote.
Zayn.
Yeah, Zayn Malik.
So Zayn's your favourite. I think he just had a baby with Gigi Hadid. Is that his name?
Gigi.
Gigi.
Is that his girlfriend? / wife?
I don't think they're married. I think they've just been... He was the one that went out with Perry Edwards from Little Mix, and then I think they broke up over text. They're like engaged and stuff.
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, it was a real situation.
Okay.
Who's your favourite support worker?
That's a trap question. Well, it's one of those things where it's like if you ask, your parents who their favourite child is, and if they've got more than one, they never give you an answer. But then secretly they probably do have a favourite.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So secretly I probably, even like subconsciously or like, there's some bias, or I probably do have favourites, but I don't actually know. And if I did, I wouldn't say. So, good try.
Secret safe.
But I think like some people are better at other things than others, So some people might be better at cooking. Some people might be better at cleaning. Some people might be, quicker or slower, or, so pros and cons. And that's why it's good having such a, variety of people, because it makes it more enjoyable. So, yeah, you're not gonna fool me into answering that question properly, because I've only had 2 sips of the beer.
Oh, so I have
to wait until I've had a lot more than that to answer that one.
Are there any perks to having a disability? If so, what's the strangest one, and what's your favourite? That's a big question.
Yeah, there are lots of perks. People always talk about the parking.
That's true.
So that's a good one. That's an obvious one. Also, I'm not sure, I went to the Australian Open with Kirsty a couple of years ago, and it was my first time to the tennis, and we got in and then went up an elevator and got in, and that was all good. And then I realised that we skipped about like a 2-hour queue, which I didn't know that existed, and Kirsty was really impressed that we skipped the queue, and so that was a perk that I subconsciously, didn't realise that I got. Some things are also perks, like being able to go to the front of the queue Oh, not sorry, not in front of the queue. The front of the crowd at like concerts and stuff. You know, that's always good. But it helps because I'm really short, so if I'm at the back, I can't see anything. But also,
you can raise your chair up though.
Yeah, but it's not that high.
That's true. Very ambitious.
I don't know, free stuff. Sometimes I get free stuff.
Like what?
An old man gave me some money once for no reason, which I thought was quite weird.
Did he say anything, or did he just give you money and walk off?
I think he just took pity on me and gave me some money.
Oh wow!
So that's interesting. But I don't know.
I can't believe that.
I think another perk is that my wheelchair does go quite fast, so I can get to places pretty quickly.
Shristi asks, do you know BTS?
Okay, so I thought that they were a K-pop girl group, but I think that they're a boy group. I think they're a boy band. Originally, I thought it was behind the scenes, because like a BTS is normally behind the scenes in terms of an acronym, but apparently they're like a K-pop boy band, I think. And yeah, it's interesting because they're apparently quite popular in the Western world, and normally K-pop or J-pop or whatever doesn't really translate over to the Western charts, unless you're like a massive nerd and then you love that stuff. But I think it's interesting that there's a bit more multiculturalism in our music industry.
Yeah, it's good.
Even though I probably wouldn't listen to them, and I'm probably not part of the fandom. But I think they're that popular that there isn't like a Netflix documentary about them.
You're asking the wrong person. I wouldn't know.
Is that true?
Do you want me to text her and ask her?
Shristi?
Yeah, Shristi. Very good.
Shristi.
Very good.
Anyway, so I don't really know them very well, sorry.
But you know of them.
I know of them, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. Alright, Laura asks, favourite band / music artist growing up versus now?
I think I used to be more into like metal music than I am now.
Like hard rock?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, I still like it. So I used to be really into like Muse and stuff like that. Now I'm a bit more into like alternative stuff. I feel really awkward answering this question.
Why?
I find when people ask you questions about music, it's really like, it's like a personal question.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be judged. But anyway, yeah, my music tastes haven't changed that much. I think because I've got so many support workers who come in and help me, lots of them play like, top 40 stuff. And so that's kind of polluted my brain and my ears. Which, in a way, has made me more tolerant to things.
Okay.
Because now I don't really mind if it's, commercial radio and I've heard the same song 5 times. I don't get really mad about it. But maybe 10 years ago I would have been really, judgmental about pop music. So maybe it's made me a better person, or maybe it's made me a worse person.
So what's your least favourite music?
I don't really like rap very much.
Okay.
It just doesn't really do it for me.
Doesn't hit the spot.
No,
Fair enough.
It doesn't do it for me.
That's fair enough.
And it doesn't really, I feel like there's not much work put into it.
So you think it's just like fast talking?
No, like it's not something that I would be able to do. But it doesn't sound very good to me. And I'm not like, wow, that's a good rapper. Whereas sometimes I'm like, wow, that's a good classical pianist. You
listen to classical piano?
No, I don't, but I can appreciate it.
Okay, alright, that's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Alright. Okay, bit of a serious one, bit of a switch up.
Yeah.
Laura asks, how has the NDIS changed over the years?
Okay. So, if you don't know, so the NDIS is the National disability insurance scheme. So that's the funding body in Australia that gives me money to pay for people like Ella. They don't normally pay for people to be in YouTube videos, so we won't talk about that. But they do pay for disability support workers, wheelchairs, equipment, that type of thing.
Okay.
And how has it changed? Well, it's only been around for properly around for about 4 years. Yeah. There were 3 years where it was a pilot, and so that was expanding and rolling out across Australia. But it's finally reached its full capacity now. So there's over 400,000 people on the NDIS in Australia, and so now it's moving from, I suppose, like the growth phase of it to more of a maturation. It's becoming more mature, and they're making some changes to it, some good, some bad, and I think, one of our roles as people with disabilities to make sure that, politicians and governments, are held accountable for everything, and make sure that, we're in control of the funding, because we as people with disability, we're the ones who live our own lives, and so we're kind of best placed to work out how best the NDIS can be.
So what did you have, what was before the NDIS? How did you get funding? Or?
So before the NDIS, in every state and territory of Victoria, they had their own schemes, their own systems, and so they all had their own eligibility and their own different assessment processes, and so it was a state-based system, and they had funding caps. So, each year they could only kind of admit a certain amount of people onto the scheme in that state, or they could only spend a certain amount of money. And so what it meant was that lots of people didn't get any support. It meant that the waiting lists were really long for lots of people. So it meant that, families and parents, maybe they couldn't work because they had to look after their kids, and provide, unpaid care. And people, couldn't get enough therapy because there wasn't enough money in the system. So it was pretty terrible.
Yep.
So the NDIS has been really, really, good and life-changing. But now, I think, it's getting, it's been around for quite a few years now. It's just about making sure that it's an ingrained part of Australia, and that there's no efforts to, use that money for anything else.
Redistribute
and
stuff.
To make, because it's part of our taxes. So, we want to make sure that there's no chance that politicians could, threaten to, underfund it or stuff like that. So, yep, it's so far so good.
Shristi asks, what are 5 things you would take with you during a zombie apocalypse?
Oh.
So, and you can only take 5 things as well.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Well, to be honest, I would probably be pretty terrible at
survival
in a zombie apocalypse. Because all of those things are survival of the fittest, and I'm not very fit, so I'd probably die. But I feel like I'd be smart enough to know that I would die. So I don't know. But if I was trying to stay alive, I'd need electricity for my wheelchair.
Oh gosh.
So I need to get some generator to make sure my wheelchair had enough charge. I'd probably want to get some type of shield over my wheelchair, like a golf buggy, or like a Pope Mobile, like a bulletproof.
I can just imagine
shield,
that.
And maybe a weapon. So maybe some scythes, like a scythe chariot. So So
You see, the question is one of 5 things you would take with you, so I feel like you already have to own them.
I've had to own them already.
Maybe, I think. I don't think you make things
Well,
up.
I couldn't really. Yeah, I'd literally just be dead. Because my wheelchair would run out of battery. I'd probably get about 10 or 20 k's out of it, which is okay. But yeah, I'd just probably die.
Oh,
So
that's so sad.
so I'm just hoping that there is no
Zombie apocalypse. Yeah, let's hope not.
Yeah.
What support worker would you take with you in your zombie apocalypse?
Probably my favourite one.
Yeah, that is.
We've been through this already.
I tried a different angle as well. Okay, next one. And this is from Shristi, is Allah a good colleague? I don't know if I want you to answer this question.
Yeah, I think so. You're fine.
I'm fine.
You're fine, yeah.
I'm fine.
You're okay. No, you're good. You're great, you're good. I like you. You're doing well. Are you enjoying working?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I think, it's like when anyone starts, they don't really know what it's going to be like, and
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things being a disability support worker is that, you can work with lots of different people, and everyone's obviously different.
Yeah.
And they've got different kind of requirements or routines or things, so it's really hard to judge what it's going to be like if you're going to work with one person compared to someone else. And so, like I was saying before, I work with lots of different people, so everyone's different and everyone's got their own personalities and talents and quirks, and then yeah, it's just about making sure we get along well, which we do, and then making sure that we get the basics done right, and then when we've done that, then we've got enough time to make YouTube videos.
Yeah, exactly, and make weird food. What would you say to your younger self dealing with a disability? That's a good one.
Oh, that's a deep question.
That is deep. There's a few deep ones coming
some
your way, actually.
Deep questions hidden amongst the zombie ones. I don't know. I think when you're growing up with a disability, it's it's similar to growing up generally, but I suppose you're worried about if you're going to have the same opportunities as other people, or you're going to be treated as well as other people, and I suppose statistically you're not really going to, which is the sad reality of it, but you just got to kind of do the best that you can. And I think just reminding yourself that if you try hard, generally things will work out, and that's generally good advice. There's always going to be issues, but if you try and have a level head, you can figure it out. I don't think I have any great wisdom about it, though. I think I was always relatively confident growing up, so I didn't really have too many crises.
No?
No.
Many?
Well, nothing major. My school was pretty good, and I think it was good me being the third child. So I had I have older siblings, and it means that my parents treated me the same as they did my older siblings. So I didn't feel I felt like I had the same opportunities as them in terms of going to university or getting a job or that type of stuff. I think some people with disability, if they're if there's no older siblings for them to kind of compare themselves to, they might have different expectations around what they can and can't do, and that could probably be a bit damaging. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really have enough time to prepare an answer for that. I probably have to think about it a bit more deeply, and who knows, I might make that one video one day. when I get a proper answer.
We just sprung the question on
Yeah,
you.
yeah. How's the Tim Tam going?
Oh, so good.
Healthy, balanced diet?
I know, especially at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and it's Christmas tomorrow though, so it's okay.
Christmas Tim Tam.
Yeah. A little, what's the word?
Treat?
Treat. Christmas present to myself.
Vice?
Yeah, like on top of the all the clothes I bought today.
Yeah. Retail therapy.
Yeah, retail therapy, but it gets to a point where it's like, where's that stop? Shristi asks, Vegemite with butter or without?
Well, obviously with.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming on toast.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because Vegemite is very salty.
Mm-hmm.
And butter is quite rich and like creamy. So you need a bit of Vegemite to balance out the butter. You know?
Yeah.
I think it's really important to have good contrast in your food.
Really?
And you wouldn't want dry, like Vegemite on dry toast. That'll be disgusting.
What about Vegemite with oil? Like, so you just want like a barrier between the butter and the...
Yeah, but
Not the butter, sorry.
no one puts oil on their bread, do they?
Some people do. Yeah.
Well, butter isn't oil anyway, so... I'm not, not vegan, so butter's fine. Butter tastes good.
Okay.
Done.
Good on you.
I've answered the question, move on.
Alright, sorry. Okay, Laura asks, what? Okay, this is deep. What do you think of the Australian culture towards people with a disability?
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
Australian culture, like, do you mean attitudes-wise?
Yeah.
Well, this might not necessarily be an Australian thing. I think often with disability, there's kind of two camps. There's the people with disability who people think are really like objects of charity and pity. And they're like, you know, the people that we fundraise for and people that we think that, you know, they're not having a very good time, and so we give them a bit of support, and that can be pretty damaging because, you know, if you're an object of pity, then you're never really going to live, you know, a good ordinary life because you've always got people kind of looking down on you. And then the opposite end of the spectrum is people who, you know, see people with disability, and, you know, maybe they're sports people or
I don't understand.
well, Google's talking to me now, but maybe they're like sports people or something, and then Australian culture is like, wow, they're so amazing, they've got a disability but they're still playing sport, or, you know, and they're really kind of inspirational, and they're kind of put on a pedestal, and you know, what's the word, like that people think that they're really great, and you know, that's not that useful either, because, you know, the vast majority of people with disability are just hanging out, doing their job or going to school, or, you know, living their normal lives. And so I think in culture anyway, disability is not really mainstream yet, so it's still always something that's interesting rather than something that's part of the mainstream. And I think it's gradually getting better. And the parallel that I always talk about is like, you know, LGBTI community. Like a while ago, if there was, you know, a gay character in a TV show, all the storylines about them were about them being gay, because that was their kind of, that was their character.
It was like their personality trait, like that's
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And now you get a bit more nuance, and that, you know, there might be a gay character on TV, but that might not be their whole story arc in the TV show.
Because that's not, yeah.
Yeah, but at the moment, if there's a person with disability on a TV show, and this is not just Australia, it's everywhere, then that's generally their whole shtick, you know? And so we're not at that stage where that's just one part of their identity. So I think I went off on a tangent there, but
No, but it's good.
that's my
true.
That's my input.
Would you say it's like...
Can I have some beer while we
Yeah,
talk?
of course. Would you say that kind of just, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but like if the discussion about disabilities, would you say that that's kind of a bit, like, would you say it's taboo?
Yeah, I think...
Like the normalising of it and stuff? Like, would you say that...
Well, it's really tricky because often the discussions about it are held by people without disability.
Okay.
So, you know, again, with the whole LGBTI parallel, you wouldn't have a room full of non-LGBTI people talking about what LGBTI people think.
Yeah.
But you'd commonly go to a conference about disability and have people without disability talking about what people with disability should do. And that's where it's not really good because, you know, you need to involve the people directly involved in it to be the ones who are making decisions. And the issue, I suppose, comes down to the fact that maybe not as many people with disability are actually involved with, you know, work or academia or that type of thing. So there's a representation issue, and lots of it comes back to the school system where we need to make sure that people with disability get a good education so they can be involved in
represent their
representation
minority
and stuff. Yeah. So we're a long way away, but at the same time, it's really important to look back and reflect on how much better it is now than it was. So there's lots of progress being made, but hopefully there'll be more.
Well, what do you think, like, this is my addition, like, just on that, like, what do you think they could do better? Like, as in, like, what would, like, obviously you just say, like, but the next step going towards that.
Well, I mean, I suppose it's what I was saying before, like, more representation, so, you know, less talking about, you know, people with disability and more, involving them in, you know, articles or in TV shows or more media representation or that type of thing, and just letting people kind of, you know, self-direct their own, you know, their own lives, and I suppose listening to people with disability as well, you know, making sure that, you know, if you're going to write a, you know, news article about them, you know, the classic example, you know, someone would write something about me and they'll say, oh, you know, Carl suffers from his disability, or like, you know, Carl is wheelchair bound and stuff like that, and so
changing the
language makes a big difference. But if you don't know what to say, just, you know, ask the person. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Again, I have to probably research some of these. These are off the cuff questions.
They're good questions.
They're deep questions.
Yeah. All right. Stella asks, pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
This is well, like this question, it is a contrasting question to some of the heavy questions. I think pineapple on pizza is actually quite good because
thank you.
It's contrasting.
Oh.
So it's like, you know,
that's why you like
it's like a bit sour, a bit sweet, and that contrasts with, you know, the other toppings on pizza, like salty ham or salty cheese or stuff like that. So it's a contrast, and you need a bit of contrast in your food.
Okay.
So
amazing.
It's a strong yes for me.
Do you find disability access day-to-day adequate?
Yeah, well, I mean, no, not really. There are still far too many shops don't have, and, you know, for me, primarily it's wheelchair access. So there are still far too many shops that, you know, have steps in front of it. You know, far too many, you know, venues, you know, I've been trying to book accommodation and they might have 50 rooms available, but, you know, only one wheelchair accessible room. So it's again, like some of my other observations, things are getting better, but it's still not very good. My opinion is there needs to be more stuff written into the law. Like at the moment in Australia, there's the Disability Discrimination Act, which, on paper says that you can't discriminate against people with disability. But there's a clause in there around unjustifiable hardship. So, a business might say, oh, it's actually too expensive for us to put in a ramp here. And that's enough to get them out of any legal obligation to make something accessible. So, in my opinion, that's a bit of a cop-out. And it's one thing I think that America does better than we do in Australia. Americans love suing each other. Sorry, any of my American viewers. But I do love that you have the Americans with Disabilities Act. And then if someone is discriminating against you as a person with disability, you can sue them. So actually, wheelchair access and things is actually quite a bit better overseas in some countries than it is in Australia.
It's so weird that it's in America as well.
Yeah.
Like, they have awful healthcare. But
yeah, pros and cons.
But, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Wow. So Tristy asks, have you had any awkward/funny interactions when working?
Yeah.
Yeah. Please explain.
I mean, honestly, there's probably too many to mention. But I think the one at the moment that has been making me laugh quite a bit is that, obviously when I'm at work, working in person, and I meet with people, they, obviously they can see that I've got a disability and use a wheelchair. And that kind of, frames a bit how they interact with me to a degree. And what I've noticed is when I've been working with people purely on the phone or through email, they might say something to me like, oh, Carl, you wouldn't know what it's like. You wouldn't know what it's like to have a disability. And then it's really funny because obviously, I'm very, professional, and I don't want to make the conversation about me. But I'm kind of like, and I'll say, oh, you'd be surprised, yeah. And so it's just interesting because I find it really interesting that even though I work at a disability-based organisation, they almost always think that people working there won't have a disability. And that's the number one assumption, because people always think that people with disability aren't actually involved in the service provision. They're always just the actual recipient or client. Yeah. And that's really interesting, and that's happened for years. I remember a couple of years ago when I was running workshops, about the NDIS and about disability. Often, obviously I was the first one in the room because I was hosting the event, and people would come and then they'd say, oh, are you looking forward to the session? Who's going to be presenting? And then I'd say, oh, it's me. And then they'd get really shocked, and they'd be quite surprised that I was the one presenting the session. And I think that just indicates that people often have kind of low expectations around what people with disability can do, and then so it makes me laugh when I encounter those interactions. But I think it's also really important to acknowledge that those interactions can also be really stressful and can really knock people's confidence around. I'm pretty self-confident and can kind of laugh some of them off, but for some people they might get a bit offended by those interactions. So hopefully they happen less and less as more and more people with disability work and have their own lives and are in the public eye a bit more.
That kind of links back to what you were saying before, like normalising the conversation and changing the language and stuff.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like, I'm quite normal.
Yeah.
I'm averagely boring.
Oh, that's not very nice.
Yeah, but you know,
Your subscribers wouldn't be happy to hear that.
yeah, I'm not boring everyone. I'm actually really interesting. But you know, you get what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Tomato sauce on the side or drizzled over the top? Asks Laura.
Over the top of like food.
Like, okay, let's say chips, for example, like hot chips.
Well, tomato sauce shouldn't ever be near chips.
Wait, what?
Number one.
Are you serious?
Disgusting.
Carl!
No, I don't.
Unsubscribe!
No.
This is not the content we signed up for.
No tomato sauce on chips. But if you're gonna have tomato sauce with like a sausage or something like that, you can put it on top. But generally, I think tomato sauce on the side is better because you can then determine how much you want on it, and you can kind of choose your own makeup of that mouthful.
Yeah, okay.
Gives
So
you
like variety.
Gives you more options, yeah.
Okay.
And especially if you've got multiple things on the plate, you know, you don't want sauce on everything. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But not on chips, definitely, you know. It's a hard pass.
I'm going to reconsider a lot of things, Carl.
Yeah, well, you know, one thing that you should learn from this channel is we're all allowed to have different opinions, and that's fine.
Oh, whoa,
Maybe
gross.
try and be a bit more tolerant.
Oh,
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah.
Laura asks, what's the worst interaction you have had with someone which relates to your disability? If they were here right now, what would you say? And feel free to swear.
Oh.
Wow. That's a deep one.
That is a deep
Requires
one.
a Tim Tam from me. Do you want a drink?
Laura asks the really deep questions.
I know she
doesn't
does.
she?
Do you want a drink before you answer this?
Yeah, I'm actually going to have to think about this one.
Think whilst you drink.
I probably won't swear.
Okay. This channel's PG.
This channel's PG.
Yeah.
I mean, there are probably lots of bad interactions that I've had with people, and I probably have wanted to swear a few times. But I think some of the worst ones would have been like obvious discrimination. So I remember once or twice, like applying for a job, you know, got to a stage where, you know, got to like the initial talks and like organising an interview, and then me being like, oh, I just need to make sure that, you know, that the building is wheelchair accessible, and then they like kind of stop getting back to you, and it's like, you know, that's obviously discrimination. You know, that's obviously they, you know, realised that I used a wheelchair and that was, you know, too much for them. And it might have been too much for them in terms of, you know, they didn't want to deal with it, or they might have thought that, you know, I wouldn't have been good at the job as a result. And people say, oh, that's discrimination, you should have complained about it. But it's one of those things where I probably kind of wouldn't have wanted to work for them anyway, if that's the kind of type of people that they are or were. Or, so I think sometimes that's the issue with discrimination, is you don't always want to punish someone for discriminating against you. You kind of you just get a bit sad about it because you realise that it happens, and sometimes you forget that it does because, you know, you surround yourself with cool people, but then when it does happen, you get just a bit sad about it. But then, you know, you always remember that it's, you know, a reflection on them more than on you, so you kind of...
it's you.
Yeah, it's not me, it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it actually isn't me, it's actually you. Well, not you, but...
I was like, what did I do?
Stop discriminating against me and get me a drink. Please.
Are you going to name and shame this place?
I can't even remember who they were now, to be honest.
Oh.
But it has happened a few times.
They're not even worth remembering.
No.
That's so sad. The weird thing about that, though, is that, like, did you specify, like, why you needed like, obviously, you needed a wheelchair access. But, like, did you say, like, I have CP? Like, did you say that? Or...
No.
Because, like, for all they knew, that you just had a broken leg and you'd be fine next week.
Yeah, but...
That's, like, so counterproductive on their end. Like, that's just dumb.
Yeah, but they just think that the wheelchair is a more complex thing, and they just make assumptions that it's going to be more difficult.
It's very rude.
But there's a fun statistic which apparently people with disability take less sick days on average than people without.
Ooh.
Which I find ironic.
If you could listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be? Asked Tristy.
Okay. I'm really bad at these questions because I overthink them too much.
Well, it's a big decision. For the rest of your life, that's a very long time.
I think I'd probably choose like a really, really long song and a really diverse / complicated song. So then the chances of me getting sick of it would be reduced.
Okay.
So, you know, like a progressive rock song, like, you know, maybe The Dark Side of the Moon. That's like if you're not cool and don't know about it, it's like, it's technically classed as one song. Or, you know, it's an album, but it's all kind of part of one song, so there you go.
Okay.
That's 40 minutes, so I can listen to different parts of that.
Okay.
On and off.
I love it.
But I also wouldn't want to live in a world where you could only listen to one song. That would be a bit of a terrible place to be.
That would be a very sad place to be.
Sorry, Tristy.
Yeah, she loves BTS, so she'd be hoping
it wouldn't be a BTS song because
yeah, you don't listen to them.
Yeah, probably not my
Sad
thing.
reacts only. Stella asks, "How do you deal with insecurities?"
Oh, okay. How do you deal with insecurities?
How do you deal with, like, you personally?
How does one deal with insecurities?
How does an individual?
I don't know. I think I suppose you work out what you can and can't control. Figure out which bits you've got some control over and which bits you don't. And then obviously you focus on the bits that you can control. And then if it's something that you can't control, then try not to worry about it as much as possible because it's not really going to help worrying.
Yeah.
And even if it's something you don't like, if you worry about it too much, it'll probably make it worse. So, yeah, and then also you have to remember that other people have got insecurities as well, probably more than they let you know about. You know, there's that whole thing, you know, you might see people on Instagram looking lovely all the time, but you know, probably
it's not really their life.
Yeah, they probably have bad times as well.
Yeah.
Even me, I mean, you see my YouTube videos all the time, and
I know.
I just look fabulous all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Having a great life, but even I have trouble sometimes as well. I'm sure you do as well, Ella.
Me? Have troubles in life?
Like eating my entire packet of Tim Tams.
I didn't mean to.
So...
You know how, like, you sometimes, like, unconsciously eat things?
Yeah.
I just did that. That's one of my insecurities.
Sorry, I shouldn't make you more insecure about it.
That's one of my insecurities. I eat too much food, and it's mostly food I shouldn't eat, like a food I'm allergic to.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Well, we've all got problems, haven't we?
Yeah, that's just one of mine.
But that's probably one that's slightly controllable to a degree.
Yes.
No judgment.
Yeah, this is a no judgment zone.
No judgment zone. I probably shouldn't have said that.
That's
but
fine.
Anyway, thanks to all of your friends for asking me the complicated questions.
No worries.
Yeah.
Shout out to my friends, guys.
You're probably the only ones watching it.
Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe for more content, and if you're lucky, I might feature again.
Maybe. Bye.
Bye. Oh, Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Have an enjoyable festive season.
Yeah, and eat lots of food.
Eat lots of Tim Tams.
Yeah.
But don't have 6 Tim Tams.
I had 3. Or did I see? Was there 6 in there? Was the packet like almost full and I ate all of it?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Do you need me to buy you another packet?
No, I'm worried.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just worried about your insides.
Oh